for the first time in a long time, somebody in the media was on your side. And that's why Megyn Kelly's so upset. And Ari Fleischer and Hugh Hewitt and all the rest of the people who got in line, stayed in line, and will tell you that red is blue and blue is yellow, whatever it is that can get them a buck. But at NBC News, something extraordinary happened. A group of people did not get in line. They stood tall. And that matters a lot. This is the warning. The chairman of NBC News, Cesar Conda, has released a statement taking full responsibility, accepting accountability, and severing his news network's ties with the former RNC chairwoman and his briefly lived colleague, Ronna McDaniel. Here is what Cesar Conda said. There is no doubt that the last several days have been difficult for the news group. After listening to the legitimate concerns of many of you, I've decided that Ronna McDaniel will not be an NBC News contributor. The criticism from the newsroom was more than just understandable, of course. It was righteous. It was indignant. It was a just revolt. It was a declaration that integrity matters, that the standards of the network matter. They're real. That the concept of truth and that its assault, that the ongoing event that has played out as a continuum on the basis of 9 long years is in fact authentic, real, happening, underway, and continuing. The very first official act of Donald Trump's 4-year administration was a lie. His spokesperson came forward to assert that a picture that showed a smaller crowd was in fact an image of a crowd that was larger than the image that showed the larger crowd. But it wasn't just a lie. It wasn't a prevarication of evasion. It wasn't a version of, I didn't have sexual relations with that woman. It wasn't an instance of puffery, embellishment. Nor was it a lie of omission. It was a lie of authority. It demanded submission of intellectual agency for the purposes of belonging, of being in good standing, being part of the team, as Ronna McDaniel talked about. This era of American life has been defined by an acquiescence of principle, an abdication of belief, brought on by a hollowness of character. In the absence of character and conviction, our politics has become a sick reality show. Why is it that the American people know who Nancy Mace is and Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all the rest of this pack of weirdos, this Star Wars bar scene menagerie of political creatures, and not Abigail Spanberger, not the serious people who understand the complexities of intricate policy in a consequential moment of American history. It is because it is all part of a sick and cynical show, a depraved one. The American news media is distrusted and despised because the American people revile its cynicism, and its dishonesties. A perfect case in point was the cynicism of the decision by the NBC News executives to do what they did, to throw away the legacy of the network, its traditions, the work, career, and sacrifices of the journalists there matter. What David Bloom stood for, what Tim Russert stood for, the career of Tom Brokaw, his mentorship, it impacted scores of men and women to whom the NBC News logo, its brand, its ethics, and its integrity means something. Ronna McDaniel was not let go. She was not revolted against because she was the Republican chairwoman. She was revolted against because she was a liar who was the Republican chairwoman. Had she only told lies to her colleagues internally, it likely would not have been a disqualification from being a paid colleague of news anchors on a television network. But that's not what she did. What she did was participate in one of the greatest lies in the history of any free peoples, and without question, the most dangerous lie of the 21st century. One of the most dangerous lies in all of American history. The truth is this. The facts are as follows. The election was not stolen. There were no problems with it that mattered in its outcome. It was the most honest, fair, legitimate, technically secure American election in the entire history of the Republic. It has been slandered and defamed because of the authoritarian ambitions and ego of a man, Donald Trump, who refused to concede to the judgment and the will of the American people in an act of sedition against the Constitution. It was an assault on our way of life, on our existence. And it was suborned by an army of lies and liars, and a general of that cause, a leader in that effort, was the spectacularly clueless Ronna McDaniel, who even today flippantly, in an appearance on the network where she was so shortly lived as an employee, cannot bring herself to acknowledge for even a nanosecond the most simple of truths, that in a democracy, both sides must be prepared to govern as both sides must be prepared to concede. What Trump did wasn't just divide the nation. He broke a tradition that was the sustenance of the nation, that connected us back to the beginning of the cause of liberty. The idea that people in a grand experiment are capable of self-governance and assigning through the outcome of an election power temporarily with restraints in the service of something bigger, grander, that unites us all, a constitution that asserts the rule of law is supreme in this land, not the diktat of a king or an emperor or a Caesar or a Trump. There is a backlash now to the backlash, as they say. Ari Fleischer, who is a paid Saudi agent and a Fox News contributor, who flies the Saudi flag on that network without it ever being disclosed, has demanded retribution now. He says no Republican should ever appear on NBC News, as if what happened to Ronna McDaniel is an indictment of a party, an indictment of an idea, as opposed to the condemnation of an action, which is a lie. That's what she did wrong. And Ari Fleischer knows that, but Ari Fleischer doesn't care about it because Ari Fleischer, too, is somebody who has no business being on a television network because of his absence of character. Ari Fleischer, for 21 years, released on 9/11 a series of tweets documenting that day. And then he stopped because he became a paid shill of the Saudi government. And it would be inconvenient to lament one of the darkest days in American history, lest it offend his new masters. Because like Ronna McDaniel, if you buy Ari Fleischer, you get his soul. The thing that unites Ari Fleischer and Geraldo Rivera and Megyn Kelly is shame. They know that they did not do, could not do, would not do, don't have the guts to ever do what Chuck Todd did, which was historic in an age of the weasel and in an era of cowardice. What he said will long be remembered and its mythology will grow. It will become a quote that is more expansive over time. Our bosses owe you an apology will come to mean all of the media bosses, all of the bosses who put crap like this on the air. And this is what Megyn Kelly hasn't understood about America. She is like a cloistered person, hidden away from decency at Fox News. And she's had a hard time adjusting in America. She's angry at NBC News and the journalists there because they drew a line at Ronna McDaniel as they drew a line at her comportment. It wasn't just that Megyn Kelly said it was okay to wear blackface in 2018. It was that Megyn Kelly said it was okay to wear blackface in 2018 after doing this.
Santa Claus should not be a white man anymore. Yet another person claiming it's racist to have a white Santa, you know? And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white, but this person is just arguing that maybe we should also have a black Santa. But, you know, Santa is what he is, and just so you know, we're just debating this because someone wrote about it, kids.
And of course, then, is Geraldo. Geraldo chose to sit in a hive of lying and disinformation as it assaulted the bonds of affection between Americans, as it propagandized hatred, as it reawakened an extremism, as it helped explode a fair election into violence amid accusations of conspiracy. Its hosts became tribunes of a new insanity, a madness. One of them is a useful idiot of such staggering dimensions for Vladimir Putin that his interview is now part of the dictator's curriculum in Russian secondary education. Quite an accomplishment. Quite a staggering achievement. What all of these people do not seem to be able to comprehend, perhaps through their shame and the misery it imposes on them, is a simple and elemental idea. The truth matters. And at NBC News, the audience knows for sure that up and down the network, when a liar was imposed on the people whose job it is, whose credibility is on the line, to tell you the truth, those people would not be involved in lying to you. And for the first time in a long time, somebody in the media was on your side. And that's why Megyn Kelly's so upset. And Ari Fleischer. And Hugh Hewitt. And all the rest of the people who got in line, stayed in line, and will tell you that red is blue and blue is yellow, whatever it is that can get them a buck. But at NBC News, something extraordinary happened. A group of people did not get in line. They stood tall. And that matters a lot in an era where most people in positions of power and authority and influence, with credibility to spare, chose to lie down. Good for them. And shame on their critics. It's not that the criticism is unjust. It's that it's so perfectly clear exactly where it comes from. And that's a low place. It's the coward's place. It's the liar's place. You deserve better. And you got it. That's a good thing. Thank you for listening to my political commentary. If you like what you heard today, please also consider subscribing to The Warning daily newsletter on Substack.